Hello everybody, hope you're having another blessed day. Today we are back on Wizard101 for our next part of our series as we've been questing through Darkmoor, giving you tips and tricks on how to complete the world for all the different bosses you may find throughout this event. Now where we left off in the last episode, we are about to now confront the mayor as we kind of unravel his scheme that he's been a corrupt politician that has been basically hurting his own village and giving them away to the evil vampire clan. So, this instance here with Spin Woods, this will be a part that we will have a single fight to start off with to go against 2 minions. It's pretty simple. And then the second part we get to, that's when it gets a little tricky. All right, then we run into the mayor himself, and he does not go down quietly. In fact, there are some cheats that we'll talk about that you have to play around, but we should be able to complete it in a 4-turn strategy. All right, so sit back, relax, and let's get in. Mass feint into a potent feint. Right? So let's get in it. Alright, so pretty straightforward fight. Everything should go fine. Alright, so got that. Got this. So again, I'm checking stuff on my storm spells. And make sure if you're doing a storm, you start with the death pip for the AoE, then you have to make sure you switch it to the other pip you need. Which to me would be a life pip. Alright, so I'm just going to storm trap first. And then for blades, put the same blade on. Alright. So you can use one for the AoE, and you'll keep the other blade when you do your single hit eventually on a mayor. And cool thing too of him, when he does switch, he also puts on a frenzy himself. You get an extra 30% damage boost on the mayor itself. Right? And no, you cannot attenuate. If you try to attenuate the boss, I'm pretty sure he just resets the immunity. So it's kind of pointless to try that. So, not a good shot. A good shot at trying to do it, though. Alright, so let's kind of speed through this up a little bit if I can. Alright. So again, first turn, blade into this buff. Go for the trap, because out of immunity, your traps, like the feints or the swarm trap, will not be used with the AoE. Alright, so keep that in mind. It is safe, you won't be using it up. Alright. So it's frenzy this turn. Let's do our second blade this turn. In fact, we're not going to need this sharpen, so I'll just draw some backup cards as needed. And then we'll take out the minions next turn and then kill them out with Nofus. Alright, so pretty straightforward fight. Though, of course, can be pretty tricky. If you're doing this solo, I can see this being very problematic. Because basically, you're going to have to be focused on double buffing. Because after you take out his minions, I believe after 2 or 3 turns, he will summon them back and repeat the cycle. Alright, so it's key that after you kill the minions, you kill them in the next round or 2. Or you're going to have to restart the whole situation again. Which if you're doing solo, that's probably run ended. Okay, so that sucks. I'm thinking. You know what? As bad as that is, I feel like it's okay that we don't get the buff. So let's see. We'll have. So what's his health at? If it's below 20k, I feel like we'll still just kind of go for it. But if it's higher than that, we may be in an issue right now. All right. So his health, 19. You know what, guys? Honestly, I feel like we're fine. We'll have this. Yeah. So we're gonna treat it like. Whatever. Again, you roll with your punches here. So we'll put the mass feint on. He's still gonna have that storm trap and the mass feint. And next turn, I'll put a potent feint and we'll cast Hex on him. So that would be so basically be a triple feint with stats wise, and he'll still have that 30% coming off of that frenzy. So I think damage wise, we should be good to kill next turn still. All right. So, always keep in mind as you're playing for this world, always be mindful of situations like this that could disrupt your flow. Right? Now, after this, we got a little bit to run into our next round of cheats and bosses. It'll be actually the final section of the mortal plane here. When we get to our final dungeon, the castle, there'll actually be 2 fights that we'll actually have to do that will have basically cheats. One is a solo fight, essentially saying that we can't feint. All right. Well, as it's pretty easy fight, I'll talk about that when we get to that. And then the last one has some bugs in it. Hopefully we don't get a bugged out one but we should be able to free turn the fight if everything goes correctly. Right? And it's crucial that we kill the boss on our second turn and kill minions on third turn with that fight. Right? Alright, so this should take out the minions and not the buff. So please, traps don't get bugged out somehow. I have multiple times playing for this world that certain things get messed up. Okay, good. So it did not affect the traps at all. Perfect. Alrighty. So there goes the minions. And now to worry about the boss. Alrighty, so here comes Tree of Strife. Let's put the well-cast Hex, and here comes a Feint. Enjoy, sir. Right, and this should do it. So again, 4-turn strategy. If you had, again, more characters, more wizards, you can probably make it into a free turn. I don't think you can do it any quicker than that. And you can kind of go for 2-hitter strategy. Everyone kind of buff those 2 hitters turn 1. You could go into an AoE hit on turn 2, and then kill him on turn 3 with a single hit here. So yeah, you could do this 1 round quicker, right? But I think this is pretty optimal if you're not going to be running for first squad or doing team us and just running with your buddy. And this will do plenty of enough damage. Again, he only has like 19k, so once we do 40k, which we'll do in 47, even with a block, kills guaranteed. Alright, so from here, fall into the mortal plane. We'll port back to Lucy, because that's where he'll be located at. I'm going to send my Storm back to go get some health, because he did take a couple shots. And we're also going to be popping our next potion, too. Alright, let's get some more XP flowing. In a Storm deck, I will have to change up this a little bit. There are some different hits I'll need to do. Like the first fight will be a single hit fight. Alright, so swapping out the Storm for Hafet, we'll be killing on second turn, which will be against a Kane Von Shane, not for Shane Von Shane, which may be familiar with the older Darkmoor. Okay, so I need to send my Storm up to here. Hate my Myth right here. So he's running up there to trigger some dialogue. Alright, now that it's triggered, now I can interact with the book. So make sure you do the book. You have to do some extra fight. So interact, book first. If not, you'll have to do this fight in there against the minions to open up this next door. But this next door is where you can find Kane Von Shane after you talk to the guard. We'll let you ride on in. Alright. Alright, so my guys running on in. See, Dex on the Storm is perfectly fine. Alright. And basically for this fight, how the cheats works, only thing he can't really do is feint. Alright, if you feint, he will do some type of O-form like Dark Pack. He will take off the hit, and you're in kind of bad trouble. So strategy is just going to be double blaze. I'll use both the Empathy Raids onto my Storm, into a Frenzy, and into a Hafet on the second turn. And it should do around 19,000 no block, so it should kill in most instances. In fact, so far, I haven't been blocked by him yet, so hopefully that good luck continues. Alright. Now, is this just a single hit? Or does this also make a bubble? I'm going to win these elephants also make a bubble, a storm bubble. Okay, so that's just a single hit one. I thought I was going to give some better luck there. Alright, so it's the first blade into a frenzy. Now, a cool thing too of this, though you cannot use feints, alright, what you can do is the will cast Hex, because this will not trigger his hit and cheat. So you get an extra kind of 30%. So it's almost like you're hitting like you see 2 feints. Alright. Into effect, this should be fine. Again, this is part of his cheat here. Alright. Which you can see he is going to give a blade. That's all he really does typically. Now, if he lives to the third turn, which could happen depending on how you're running it, on the third turn at the start, he is going to cast basically a Master Spell on every wizard, which will put a school-specific spell. So since I'm Myth, I'll get a Myth Dispel, my Storm will get a Storm Dispel. So keep that in mind as a quest. If something goes wrong for the run, you have to go to a third turn. Someone lags, you know, that third turn you're going to get the spell, so you have to play around that. Maybe pass a Cleanse Charm or a Purge to get it off of the hitter. Right? But it should be fine. Kills. Perfect, 29. No issues at all. Alright. And now I got to change my Storm setup again. But before that, we got to figure out the secret passage. And we do that by going to this blue room, which has a bunch of books, which we have to interact with 2 of them to get to the next stage. Now, as I'm doing that, I'm also switching my deck on my Storm just a little bit. Swapping out the Hafet now for basically doing the Tree of Strife. Alright. Just blue room. Yeah, blue room. Alright, so in here, be I think 5 books. 3 on that side, 2 on that side. We're looking for one talks about the books, and also it's 11th hour at o'clock, so we need the one about the books. This tells us the code, which is going to be 333. And then we need to know about the blueprints. So not about his unlife. We need the blueprints of the castle. Alright, records of castle. So I'm pretty sure it's architectural records. That's one. Yep. Which gives us basic patterns. The other ones, if you do it incorrectly, will trigger a minion fight in here, which would be kind of problematic, and then my Storm will have to run to catch up. Alright. And then you head into this last room here, which is where the clock would be. You put in the code for 333. And this would basically open up the castle to your allies to kind of break in. And the 333. Same thing, put in the wrong code, it will trigger a minion spawn in, and you'll have to do a side fight. So make sure you do that all correctly. Alright, so now from here, okay, I'm putting my Storm back where it needs to go. We gotta run up, basically up top of the castle section there, where my Storm kind of ran off to, up the stairs, and basically throw the plans out the left window, and basically signal out the right window that it's time to attack the castle. Why we can't do that at the same time, or out the same window, I don't freaking know. You know, that's just their idea. And it's also kind of funny that now we're kind of working for that broken branch, that group that attacked the Arcanum in the first episodes, getting us into Darkmoor. Alright, so now we'll get into the next fight. Alright, which works kind of similar. It's a little weird fight. This one is bugged. Multiple times I've had bug issues with it. Right, so hopefully we get lucky. No further issues. Alright, but I should be good to go on my Myth. Yeah, I got the setup I need. And then on my Storm, yeah, I have what I want. Alright, so how this fight works, again, This will be a free turn fight strategy. What we're going to be doing is first turn, treat it like a normal fight. All right, you're going to be frenzying on your main wizard, or your hitter. Right? And then you're going to put or will cast Hex and your strongest feint onto Count. Right? Now for the Count, his cheats get really bad real quick. So you got to take him out strat really quick. Right? Because if you don't one-shot him, all right, he will basically be unkillable. You kill him, he'll respawn back at health. All right? You have to one-shot him. And if you don't one-shot him, what I found by typically like round 2, he'll just keep coming back and sacrificing the minions. If you come round 2, it actually does not trigger that cheat. All right, that could be a problem that he just Dark Pact. All right, we're going to see if that does anything, because now he's not at max health. So if this doesn't kill, we may actually have to restart this fight. That's not even a joke. But typically the strategy would be you put the feint, put the Hex on him with a frenzy, and then the mass feint. You'll use a single hit on turn, basically 2, to take him out. And in turn 3, you'll do a bladed frenzy mass feint temp to kill out the other minions. But I don't know if this will kill him now, because I don't think I've ever had him actually use kind of that Dark Pact situation on turn 2. So hopefully this does not trigger his cheat. If it does, we have to basically flee and restart this fight. If not, we'll be good. So fingers crossed this does not trigger anything. Please don't trigger that respawn cheat. Because he is dead. Please, please, please. It did. Oh, no. Okay, so I never had that happen before. All right, but keep this in mind if you are doing this. If he does do Dark Pact, that is just like a hard reset. So, because, yeah, if he dies, he will basically crow, revive himself, and then go from there. Oh, it's so frustrating. All right, guys, so that's going to hurt us on our timer, because now we have to flee and run all the way back. And if you do for this whole turn, too, because you can't just log out, could reset the whole dungeon. Oh, you're trolling me. You know, he can hit me, that's fine. He can blade, that's fine. But he cannot Dark Pact himself. Please don't do that. Alright, let's try this again, folks. No, let's not tempt. No, let's not do that. Game's misclicking for me. It's not what I want to do. Okay, there's the Frenzy. There's the Hex. Alright, let's... Fingers crossed he doesn't do that again. Or we have to reset again, and again, and again. And let's see how this one goes. This one takes some... Please, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. What's he doing? What's he doing? What you doing? You troll, man! He's just a troll! Oh, he's such a troll! Okay, so again, we have to reset again. That is how bad this fight is. I don't know why King's Island made a fight like this, but you saw it there. There's nothing you can do. You know, the only thing you can do, you have to wait for him to hit you X amount of times to get his health back to max. At that point, you know, the minions can get set up. It's just not worth trying to fight that. And again, he has like over like two dozen cards in his deck, and he's literally just picking the same one. I do not like doing this guy. Thankfully, you do not have to farm him. He does not drop any of the gear. So that is a bright side about all this. Alright, so this Storm's back. Let's try this again. Can you stop using Dark Pact? Like, dude, don't do it. Want to crash out. Being griefed. Thankfully, he did not. He used Devon this time. Okay, so now he will be able to be killed next turn because he still has full health. Alright, so do normally Tria Strife next with a Mass Feint, Potent Feint, Hex Frenzy. And then following turn, we'll use the 55 Sharpened Blade for the Storm into a 4-pip Tempest with the Frenzy. All right, and that should kill out the minions. If not, we have a backup Tempest. And we also may have a hit also on my Myth if I need. I think I have a Frog in the deck. Alright, so get my Storms cards in Chan, draw some extra cards as needed, send the Strife, draw some backups if needed, and send the Mass Fang. Okay. Yeah, yada yada, feeling a little overstuffed. That's what you want to see. If he's overstuffed, that means he can be killed. If he is feeling hungry, alright, the hunger's basically leaning on him, that's when you can't kill him. Alright, so this will take him out. He will not respawn now. As long as I don't get blocked. If I don't get blocked, whoo, it could be some issues. Alright, so 55, 75, 30, and 80. No block for you. Take that over 20k. Take 30k. 36. And he's done. And you see, he does not respawn now. Whew. Now, if they want to not... Because a lot of times there'll also be that stupid aura onto your guy. So I hope he doesn't do the aura on me. Okay. And then last guy here. Okay, Palmer. Okay, so we're perfectly fine. We should be able to kill with 4 Tempest this turn. Alright, so there's the Temp, and here comes the Blade. And that should wrap it up this dungeon. Again, if things go the way, fine. It's a pretty easy dungeon with just 2 people. Alright, you can even do this pretty cool, nicely with 4 people too. But also keep in mind, first turn, you can play a big factor with it. If he does anything to himself, Dark Pack, Empower, he does have both. You're kind of got to restart from there. There's no point trying to sit there and just let him keep on healing off you and wait for him to hit you, which again could take multiple turns so you decide to actually make that type of move. Alright, so that will complete this dungeon. Alright, and a nice level up puts us up to what, 76? Up to 76 now. Alright, then I gotta reset my Storm stuff since we'll be going back to a new area. And the Howlands we go. Again, doing pretty good progress so far. Again, 176. We're getting closer and closer to 180. In fact, after this Howlands, there's only one more area left in the game. We have finished 2 of the 4 areas already. Well, there's no area 2, but it's more of like the final dungeon area, not actual place like with minions and everything. I think someone took my thing. Wait, is it still here? You fiends. Could almost cry. Could almost cry. Alright, so the Howlands is the next area.
The wizard comes to the land of wolves, and sometimes I just...
And you gotta get a little XP there. Boom. But it's pretty high up there, 176. We'll definitely hit 178, 177, maybe 178 in the next episode. So right now, let me just add some more. Feed my little pet real quick. You know what? Even the potion's done. I'm gonna do this next cool quest here. Why not? So I can just knock this out of the way. respawn. It gets some health back before we keep going on in the next episode. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there. We'll collect our quest from Dimitri in just a second, but that will do it for the episode. So, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Kind of helps you support me and helps get this video out to more people that also maybe need help or assistance with the game. Now, like always, if there's other questions you have with the game of Wizard101, or if there's other games you would like to see me play on this channel, just comment them down below. You never know, may pop up in a future episode. And with that in mind, hope the week is blessed, and I'll see you all again in the next episode. With that in mind, I'm out.